Hi, it's Leonard here from Arbitrage Magician. I'm just going to share with you the process that I've used to identify my audience, my avatar. Uh, I remember from day one, Ben, he mentioned this one critical information, and a lot of people have missed this or may have forgotten it. Uh, I remember it vividly, and because he said that in order for you to succeed in arbitrage magician, you have to remember this. You have to remember this. And the devil is in the details. And that was so critical because a lot of people miss this part. Now they're having problems identifying their audience because they completely miss this part. There are two major problems that I've seen so far in arbitrage magician forum. um, Identifying, especially those members having trouble identifying their avatar. I was one of them as well, For the last, week or two, I was one of them. I was struggling to identify my audience because it did not occur to me, that the devil's is in the details, and I remember it. And something that clicked. And in order for you to understand your avatar is you need to find or you need to have detailed information about your market. And and the first major problem that I've seen is problem number one is they yet to understand the general population of the target audience. Now I'm gonna talk more about this problem number one. This presentation is it's all about problem number one because if we address this problem, the second problem will not exist. Because at the moment, everybody is in this problem number two. They're well entrenched deep into their niche. Now, if you well and deep into your niche, you missed out a lot of the general information about your market. Who are your players? What sub niche they belong, the age group, and all those information. Remember, the formula that Ben says to succeed in arbitrage magician, you need to be able to, or at least remember the details. You gotta be able to pay attention to the details. And therefore, the devil's in the details. So, let's have a look at the problem number one. Let's pick an example. The market keeps coming up. The sub niche that keeps coming up in our forum is the survival preppers niche. This thing This niche keeps coming up. There's about 4 or 5 people asked me, PM me last night, and I helped them. I took them to the same process that I am presenting now. I took them to exactly the same process, and in less than 30 minutes, they have identified their audience, which normally took them days and days. Now, when I took them to this process, and the aha moment came. All the fog just lifted up, and suddenly their avatars just emerge. And that's what I'm trying to explain on this presentation. Let's start with the broad. See, people starts at the deep level, at the niche, and they forgot about all those little things that makes up the small, that your avatar. So they neglect those little things, and as a result, they struggle, and I struggle too until I figure out. I reverse engineer this thing. I said there's got to be a way, so I reverse engineer it, and I came up with this process. And now I can easily identify my target audience, within less than half an hour, provided I have the research data with me. So let's have a look at this niche, survival preppers. Now, survival preppers is a sub niche of outdoor recreation, and it could be even a subset of any of these. And look at this, there's about 8 of them. These are just an example. You have fishing, hunting, you have shooting, boating, wildlife viewing, camping, hiking, trapping. Now these are markets. Now, if you well entrench in deep into your niche, you simply miss out on the general population on any of this market. And if you missed out, how are you going to identify who's who in your market? And that's the and this presentation will take you through the process. So let's take, for example, camping. It's a subset, or a subset or a niche actually of outdoor recreation. So camping. Let's look at the general population of camping. 1 in 5 Americans go to camp each year, so it's 20% of the population. They camp in every different ways. Recreation vehicle. They camp on camping ground to wilderness among campers, and 67% of the campers camp in a tent at a camping ground. Okay, so this is just general information. So let's move on. Now, among these campers, the wilderness campers, among these campers, they tend to fall into this category. They could be hunters, target shooters, hikers, swimmers, rock climbers, mountain bikers, anglers, boaters, and wildlife watchers. So they tend to fall on this. Now, coming from camping market, now we're starting to see who are the players in this, who are the players in this market. We got hunters here, we got target shooters here, we got hikers, we got swimmers, we got anglers. Now we're starting to paint a picture of what the camping market is all about. And now we have now we have 18 to 24 persons older have a high likelihood to be a wilderness, means spending time in the bush. We call it here in Australia. And let's move forward. Okay, so now in the camping market, most people live 30%, 33% lives in town. Okay, 33%, sorry, lives in town, 30% in rural areas, and only 19% lives in the city. Okay, and 18% who lives in suburban. So now we can see the demographic. Where are these people? 30% in town, 33%, some in rural area, 30%, 19% in the city, and 18% in only suburban. So now we identify the players where they live. Okay, we're starting to live where they live and what age group. Let's move forward. Now let's have a look at their income. Now, among these campers, the general population, 21%, they earn between 40 and 59,000, under 60,000. 19%, they have a 20 and under 40,000 income household, and only 18%, they're in the higher bracket, 60 to under 100,000, and only the minority of under less than 10%. 19,000 and 8% above 100,000. So now we're coming down from the general population. We're starting to coming down now. We identified the market, which is the camping. We identified who are the players, like the hikers, the swimmers, the rock climbers. Now we are starting to identify where they live. So where they live, they live in town, or they live in the city, or they live in country, so on and so forth. Now they're looking at their income, their household income, this disposable income, 20% between 40,000 and 60,000, 21%, sorry. So now we're starting to narrow down, to dig deep we're going deeper now into the camping niche. So let's start profiling our avatar. So profiling simply leads to identifying our avatar. So let's look at Ben's marketing approach. I remember in session 2 he said this. And I remember it well. He said, market to one person, one to one. And I remember when he demonstrated his dachshund necklace, he didn't market it to the entire, dogs community. He marketed it to one person, to his mom. And that's what we're gonna do. So market to one person. So let's have a look at this. So we started from the broad area, and then we're starting to narrow it down now. Narrowing it down, we're digging deeper now into the camping market, and we come up with this avatar. This person has an interest in rock climbing. He's a rock climber. He's aged between 35 and 44. Approximately live in town. We don't know the gender yet. However, this is a little bit more specific now. He's got a college education, and his income is between 40 and 60,000. So we have to pick now. We have to pick an audience. We have to narrow it down, and we basically market to one person now. I'm marketing now. If I'm gonna target this survival preppers niche, this is what I'm gonna target. He he or she likes rock climbing, age group of 35 and 44. He lives in town. He's got a college degree and he earns under $60,000. So now I can see clearly he or she is starting to merge. He or she is starting to emerge from all those players, from all the cloud of dust. And now I can market to this person. And here's our avatar. There he is. He's got an interest in rock climbing. He's looking at the picture here. He's probably aged between 35 and 44. He's probably lives in town and college education because he dress up fairly good and probably earn an income between 40 and $60,000 because he dressed up pretty well and groomed pretty well. So, by the way, I took this picture. I downloaded this picture from Google, so I don't personally know this guy. I just put this as an example of an avatar. So now I can market to this person using survival and prepper's niche. So now you understand. We started from the broad area, broad market, and then we started to identify the players. Then we picked the market, identify the players, where they live, level of income, education, and then bang, we narrow it down. And that's how I took my process of identifying my avatar. And when I share this information to fellow members who PM me within less than 20 minutes, they all have identified their avatar because the reason they couldn't find their avatar, they couldn't identify it because they started at this level, at the deepest level. They miss out on all those details. Those little things. Remember the formula, the devil's in the details. So if you miss those small amount of information, then it will be difficult for you to find your avatar because those little information will make up to find your avatar. So market research data, especially the quantitative and qualitative, really speeds up identifying your data. And so what I recommend is read a lot of market research paper pertaining to your designated target market because it helps a lot identifying your avatar easily. And I'm starting to read a lot of market research now because as we move, as we progress to this course, Ben is gonna look at ship drop shipping next week, hopefully, and other areas of the course. Um, Read a lot of market research. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read a lot of market research, and it's easy for me to identify where my target audience is. If I'm gonna move into shooting, for example, or into dog niche, for example, just read a market research or particular dog breed. Who are the players? You know, who are most what the look at their age, look at their income, where they live, where they spend, what things they buy. So as you begin to read all those information, those little information will lead you. You simply target the audience. You customize it, you narrow it down, you target it. And then, of course, you know, identifying your audience is one part of the equation. Remember, there are three parts. You have the audience. You have to come up with a very impressive marketing. Your products has to be well polished. And then your sales, your copywriting, you know. So those three, if they work together, then the success will come. And I've managed to nail down my audience now. Now the marketing, the sales part is something that I have to work hard now to get a good result. But once I've got to this part, now I know. Now I know what my audience is. Now I have something to target. See, if you don't have a target, you don't have a goal, well, what are you aiming? Nothing. So that's what this presentation about. It helps you to find your target and you aim. And well, I hope this presentation helps you to identify your audience, not only to the exercise that you're doing now, but hopefully to the future market, market that you're trying to tap into. Um, by the way, this is the source of the all those data that I've accumulated. That's the source there. There's tons of information there about outdoor activity. Knock yourself out. Um, yeah, take this process. You start from the broad. You look at all. You look at the market. Look at the market buzz. You look at the players. Who are the players? Look at their age, where they live, their income level. As soon as you start reading those information, you know, then you can start narrowing it down. You dig deeper, and then you can just basically target your audience. So don't start at a deep level, at the very deep level, because you're gonna miss out on those general information. Because those general information lead you to your avatar. So don't start at the bottom. You start at the top, and then work your way all the way to the bottom until you hit the bottom. That bottom is your avatar. So I hope this presentation helps you to lift the fog and clear all the mist, and your avatar will emerge like a clear daylight. So, and I hope you gained something today, and appreciate for listening to me, and hope I'll hear from you in the forum. And you know, that's what I try to do. Ben gave me so much on this forum, and not just me and the rest of the guys as well in the members area. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to give back to the community what I've received so much from Ben, and So I'm just putting this presentation because I know we are moving into a critical stage now of the course, and so I hope this presentation will help you to nail that avatar. And avatar will be, identifying your avatar will be a thing of the past once you go through this process. I know there are some, smart people in our forum, but they don't like to share information. I mean, that's fine, God bless them, you know. But there are specific, there's group of people as well who willing to give their time and effort and help other people, like myself and Nate, who won the award uh, for this week. So I congratulate him. So well done, Nate, and we'll catch up in the forum as usual. So yeah, we try to give as much as we can. My success on Facebook at the moment is I'm still testing, but I know my avatar now. I know the process now. So I still have to go through the marketing and sales because those are the two critical components. But now I'm just gonna have to test, test, test. And what Ben said, you know, fail fast to get the result. So that's what I'm gonna do. I've got my audience now, so I'm gonna test, fail fast to get the result. Okay. So. Well, I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I'll see you. I'll see you in the forum. Thank you.